The CEO of Cracker Barrel thinks that this beloved restaurant needs to change with the times. The company announced this week that there would be a new logo that would strip away that old country charm and make it look as bland and tasteless as their new health food menu. Not only that, but the insides of the restaurants are being streamlined to resemble the coffee shop of a college campus as opposed to the amazing, unique collection of eclectic items and games that it's known for. I hate this. I hate this so much that all I could think about was that scene from The Godfather where Vito Corleone has to look down at his son and say, "Look how they massacred my boy." Nobody wants this. Please stop. I'm Tyler Chrestman. Welcome to the Chrestman Conversation. Hello. Okay, we got 3 topics we are going to be talking about today on the show. We are going to talk about the Cracker Barrel redesign, the fact that they're going broke, really, the Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin meeting that happened last Friday, and I'm going to introduce you to a young man named Matt Nuclear who recently went viral for all the right reasons. But first, as always, our favorite comment from last week comes from Carol Radakovich, who says, quote, "spot on," end quote. Thank you. Thank you very much. I try to be spot on with everything I do, and I often succeed. So it's nice of you to notice. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the comment. Okay, now we're not gonna. Oh, hold everything before that happens. Oh, Winnie, do you want to say anything? No, you just want to look all moody. That's fine. You can be moody. She's upset because she wants to jump on the desk, and I'm not letting her. It's hard for her. It's hard for her to live this kind of life with this kind of tyrannical overview. She's going to go over there and pout. It's fine. It's fine. I know I'm a mean cat parent. It's fine. Okay, anyway, topic 1. Cracker Barrel. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, I don't know. Is Cracker Barrel a Southern thing? I imagine it is, just because of the way that the food is. But I don't know if there are restaurants, Cracker Barrels, all over the place. I think they're kind of everywhere now, but I think it started in the South. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along. But the Cracker Barrel, I'm a big fan of Cracker Barrel. I love Cracker Barrel. I have no shame in saying it's great. I love the food there, and I often go there. But Cracker Barrel has been losing money as a corporation recently. And this is not surprising because a lot of restaurants have been losing money post-pandemic. People don't go out to eat as much. Cracker Barrel isn't the kind of food that you order to go. I know they do lunch and dinner, but I guess they're mostly known as a breakfast restaurant. And so they've been losing money for quite a while. So this is sad because, again, I love Cracker Barrel, but every restaurant has been struggling. And maybe they're a little bit worse. I imagine that they're a little bit worse if they're trying to shake things up than other ones, and they're making changes. So this is where the story really begins. This CEO has been in place for a while. This lady named Julie Fells Messino. They're calling her a new CEO. I think she's been in place for 2 years. She's not exactly new, but this week, Cracker Barrel's in the news. A lot of people on the internet were talking about it. It was trending on X, and there were news shows about it. It was a big deal because it's a big corporation. It has a lot of stores, and it's worth a lot of money. So this was a big deal because they said they were announcing changes, and they put this out this week into the world. They basically said, all right, here we go. Here's our new redesign, blah, 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 blah. So the Cracker Barrel changing with the times. They have basically redesigned this logo, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's god-awful. So this is the logo. This is the logo that they have always had. This is the new logo. So this is Cracker Barrel. There's the cracker. There's the barrel. By the way, it's not really what that means. That's what everyone's saying. It's kind of the joke. But the guy in the picture is not the cracker. The barrel it's a barrel full of crackers. Okay, it's not as though the cracker is referring to the guy. I get a lot of white people go to Cracker Barrel, but it's not really what it's referring to. But this is the guy. There's the guy. There's the barrel. This is what it's always looked like. This is the new logo. God awful. This is just terrible. This looks like something you would do in a high school class that is working on graphic design. This is terrible. This new logo, it just has no charm. It has nothing of the original that makes the original unique or good, or you know what it is. Like if this isn't here and I saw the guy in the barrel, I know the restaurant because that's what Cracker Barrel is. It's the guy in the barrel. I get it. It's the old country store. What does this do? if I blank this out, are you going to be able to tell what this is? No, it's a yellow blob. It's stupid. It's a bad design. I hate it. I hate it. There's no way around it. I hate it. So this is not what people want. They don't want the, oh, and by the way, hold on real quick. Let me try and, I didn't do this, or maybe I did actually. Let me see if I pulled it up. I was wondering if I had a picture here of the new inside of the restaurant. So if anyone's ever been to a Cracker Barrel, you know what a Cracker Barrel looks like, okay? There's kind of the faux wood paneling on the walls. They got a bunch of old pictures and things that looks like it would have come from the frontier, and it has a very unique style. It's like an Applebee's, but everything on the wall are like old tools and new inside design. There we go. So, but everything on the walls, old tools and things like this. So this is the new, oh my God, it just frustrates me to no end. Okay, here's a good picture. So let me show you this real quick. So this is, oh man. So this is what it looks like on the old, oh my gosh, or get out of here. Okay, so here's a picture of what it kind of looks like. It's got a bunch of stuff on the walls, and yeah, okay, that's great, and all this different stuff. And the new Cracker Barrel, the new one, has none of this charm. It looks like this. Oh my God, look at this. Explain to me, if I showed you the inside of this restaurant, could you tell it's different than any coffee shop in any college? Could you tell me what's the difference between this and Starbucks? This ugly, bland design? What are they thinking? What could they possibly, is there a bigger downgrade in restaurant history than what I'm looking at here on the walls? And I understand that's not the best picture of all time, but this new redesign, it's so ugly. Like, you just look at the charm. Look at these, all this stuff, all the quirky, kooky pictures of old, people from the 1800s and all the bear traps and the cross-country skis. It just had a unique feel to it, and they're just stripping that away. Oh, here we go. This is a great picture. I wonder if we can get this bigger on Instagram. Oh, my God. Look at this. Look at what they've done. Look at how terrible this redesign is. We got more pictures. Oh, my God. I'm sorry that listen, I understand other people aren't as passionate about the Cracker Barrel as I am, but just look at this. And there's a reason why we're talking about this. I know everyone out there is saying, why the hell do you care about I almost said Cracker Barrel. Why the hell do you care about Cracker Barrel? Because there's actually a deeper point to be made about this. Not only is this bad because it's not what people want. Cracker Barrel lost $100 million in market value yesterday. And the stock fell $4.22. That's 7% of its value in one day. It was down to $54.80 at the end of trading on Thursday. Basically lost $94 million in market share. Now, the stock actually dipped 14% down. It was down as low as $50, and it was almost $200 or $200 billion in capitalization. They lost a tremendous amount of money. People hate this. And they're making the restaurant worse. And you're not going to make it better by making it worse. And what's funny is this whole thing could have been prevented if Cracker Barrel would have listened to my mom. My mom is just a regular person. She's not the CEO of a company. She's a smart lady, but she's just a regular person, just like me. I'm just a regular person. We went to Cracker Barrel maybe a year ago. Maybe it could be 2 years ago at this point, but maybe a year ago. And by the way, I have gotten the same thing at Cracker Barrel every time I've gone to Cracker Barrel since I was a child. And they took it off the menu. They call it something different now. But my whole life, it's been called the Uncle Herschel's. And I would get sugar-cured ham. I'd get a double order of the hash brown casserole. Yes, I know you're going to upcharge me, but I don't want grits. I want 2 hash brown casseroles. And then I get bacon over easy eggs. Okay, so this is it. This is a giant meal. And this last year when we went, got the hash brown casserole. I mean, it tastes fine. So okay. My mom gets hash brown casserole, and she goes, "This tastes different, doesn't it?" And I said, "Yeah, it kind of does." And she asked the waitress. She said, "Hey, what's up with the hash brown casserole? It's different." And the waitress said, "Oh, it's actually a new recipe. Most people haven't noticed." And I said, "Oh, I noticed. My mom noticed." And my mom said, "Why would you do that? The hash brown casserole is the best thing on the menu." And she said, "Oh, we're trying this new thing where we're making things healthier." And my mom said, "Nobody wants that. Like, what?" She's just talking to the waitress. She's not being snooty. But my mom goes, "Oh, why would they do that? Nobody wants that. Like, nobody comes to Cracker Barrel to eat health food. Everyone's coming here for old down-home country cooking." And the waitress goes, yeah, I know, it's crazy. And nobody really has said anything, but she's like, I don't know why they're doing it. And that was it. That was the conversation. That was 2 years ago, or a year ago, possibly 2 years ago. And right there, my mom was able to look at this and say, well, that's not what Cracker Barrel is. If I want health food, I'll go to Whole Foods. I'm not going to Cracker Barrel to eat my healthy hash brown casserole. I'm going there for the butter and the grits and the cheese and all the good stuff. And my mom was able to recognize that 2 years ago, and the CEO of Cracker Barrel doesn't seem to understand it. This isn't what people want. This isn't why you're going to Cracker Barrel. If you wanted a restaurant like this, you could go to any of the bland places around, any of the brunch places that popped up in the last 5 minutes. Cracker Barrel is an institution, and she wants to change it for no reason because they think they're going to make the restaurant something different and also keep the same customer base. You're not. You're just going to lose people. You're not going to bring new people in by changing. And this is why actually we're talking about it, because there's a story. And I don't know if this was in a written book or if this is just something he said. But G.K. Chesterton has a thing that's attributed to him where they call it G.K. or the Chesterton's fence. And it's this idea that if two people walk up they're in the middle of a field and they find this fence in the middle of the field, they'll look around. They don't know why it's there. Someone will say, it doesn't make any sense for this fence to be here. I'm looking around. There's no animals. It's in my way. Let's tear the fence down. And the other person will say, I'm looking around. I don't know why this fence is here. Maybe we should figure out why the fence is here. And this is the difference between modern day leftists and modern day conservatives, where people on the left are the kind of people who want to tear the fence down because they don't understand the fence. And people on the right, the conservatives, tend to be the people who say, the fence is there for a reason. We just don't know the reason, or maybe we should understand the reason better. This lady doesn't seem to understand that Cracker Barrel exists the way it is and has been successful. It has hundreds of stores for a reason. And her idea is that we can just change it and make it something different, and it'll still be the same thing. It's a different thing at that point. It's not the same thing. And she doesn't seem to get that. My mom gets that. I get that. The CEO of this billion-dollar company doesn't seem to understand that. People don't want to go to Cracker Barrel for something different. And I'm going to guess something about this woman. I don't know anything about her. Her name, what was her name? Julie Fels Messino. I don't know anything about her. I haven't looked her up. I don't know anything. I saw her out there trying to defend these changes and say people are really excited about it. That's not what the internet was saying when this showcased. Is basically everyone on the internet was just ripping this up and down as a terrible idea. So I'm going to guess something about this lady. I don't know this for a fact, but I would guess that this lady is on the left because she's the kind of person who wants to change an institution because she thinks she has an idea for it to be better, and she doesn't. There's a difference, too, because let's use Red Lobster as an example. There's a new CEO of Red Lobster who took Red Lobster from bankruptcy, and now it's back to being profitable. And they said, wow, this guy did it. It's amazing. How did you do it? And he basically went through and said, well, actually, it turned out that we were importing a bunch of shrimp from the guys, and they also own the wholesale company for the shrimp. So we were losing money on this endless shrimp thing because they were making money on the other end, and Red Lobster was losing money, so we got rid of the endless shrimp. We redid a little thing. We did this and that. Go to a Red Lobster. It's still Red Lobster. It's still Red Lobster. This guy had some ideas. He changed some things around. He had these ideas. He didn't try to change the restaurant. He said, let's just adapt to let's make money with this restaurant as it exists. They didn't change the logo. They're not changing the restaurants. They're not trying to become something different. It's still Red Lobster. Go there. If you're a Red Lobster fan, go there and say, hey, does this feel different? The answer is no. It feels the same, but he managed to make a profit now, going from basically bankruptcy to profitable. This lady is going to take this thing from losing money. I don't know where it was at and how much money. Obviously, it's worth billions of dollars still if it can lose $100 million and still be worth a lot of money. So it obviously is profitable enough. It's not bankrupt. So she's going to take this from where it was, which may not have been great, but was probably okay, and she's going to make it worse. And she has made it worse. And I just think it's funny that people think that this is the way to fix things. The way to fix things is not to tear them down and start anew. If you have something that works, it's often not to just break it down to its first principles and then try and build it back up. It's not it. If it's working, you can tweak it, you can critique it, you can fix it. But this lady's that's not what she's doing. That doesn't look like Cracker Barrel. That looks like there's a place I don't know, the Shack in St. Louis or any other spot in the world that has a different feel. It might as well be any other restaurant. It's not Cracker Barrel. And again, this isn't just about Cracker Barrel. It's about this idea that we can tear something down and build it back better than it is. You got to be careful. You have to be careful tearing anything down because chances are it was built the way for a reason. And if it was built that way and it's been very successful and you think you could do it better, chances are you're better changing it than just ripping it out root and stem. And this lady's going to learn that. I imagine she's going to lose her job. Anyone who loses $100 million in a day for a company, you can't imagine they're going to be CEO very long. But we'll see. I imagine she's going to get fired. Let's see what the next guy does. Hopefully he says, oh my God, this lady was terrible. I don't know what we were thinking. Here's your Cracker and Barrel back. Who knows? We'll see. But it's just, it has been, it's silly because this is obviously touching on a lot of things. People were upset about this. My parents, I'm sure, are upset about this. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't talked to them about the Cracker Barrel controversy, but I'm sure. Like, we've been going there, again, since I was a child. Small child. I got the same thing. 2 years ago, they changed the name of the thing. I don't know why they did that. It's been the Uncle Herschel's for 30 years that I've been alive. They had to change the name. Oh, it's the same thing. We just gave it a different name. Okay, fine. Oh, with the hash brown casserole, it's the same, but we can just change it a little bit. Okay, all right, I guess it's fine, but I don't know why you're changing the things that the customers like and who you appealing to. You think you're going to get new people? You think young people are going to go to the Cracker Barrel because they say, oh, did you hear about that Cracker Barrel redesign? Why don't we start putting that in our rotation? No. You're just going to lose the people who like going there because of the things they like. You're taking them away. You know, I'm a guy, I like going there. You're taking the things away that I like, or at least you're making it different, and I might as well go somewhere else. It doesn't matter. Anyway, just drives me nuts. Anyway, this is just actually me griping about my personal issues, which is just the loss of Cracker Barrel has been deeply troubling to me. I know it's hard to talk about, but anyway, let's move on. We're spending too much time talking about Cracker Barrel. It just really upsets me. Anyway, let's talk. Topic 2, Trump and Putin. Dun, 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 the summit. All right. So this is actually an important story, and we didn't get to talk about it last week because it was happening on Friday. As you know, the episodes come out on Friday, so it was happening while we were recording and releasing it and everything. So it's been kind of an issue, but it's been talked about for a week now. Obviously, we didn't get the end of the war. You probably would have heard about it. It didn't happen. There's war still going on in Ukraine, but this was a big deal. It was a big deal because Donald Trump and the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, had a face-to-face. And this is a big deal because it doesn't happen that often. They talk on the phone, but blah, 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 but these big peace summits don't happen. And the fact that Vladimir Putin seemed open to it is a good thing. I do think it's a good thing. So Putin comes to the U.S. He meets Donald Trump up in Alaska. They say the talks went well. Obviously, the media wasn't in there, but they say the talks went well. Then Trump went and spoke to the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, and then immediately called Putin back, and they're trying to work out this thing where they're going to they were talking about initially a 3-way summit with the 3 of them where they get together and they try and negotiate an end to the war. And I think that's a good thing, and I think everyone should think that's a good thing. The war has not been going in Ukraine's favor for a long time, so it would be a good thing for them to get out of this war, and I think making some concessions is going to be the way that it is because they're not going to drive Russia out of the entire country. It's just not going to happen. So I think Russia, in a sense, wins a little bit, but Ukraine gets to remain a country, and it just got to go on. Anyway, this is going to be where it lands, I'm sure, at this point. Unless the other option is not that Ukraine wins. I want everyone out there to understand this when I say this. I'm not rooting for Russia. I'm being a realistic person. Ukraine cannot win the war by itself. So if Europe, if NATO, if all these people want to go put boots on the ground, Ukraine doesn't have enough soldiers to win the war. They just don't. It's just not the way it works. And so when I'm saying this, I'm just being realistic. I'm not rooting for Russia. Russia will either hold what it has or gain more. They're not going back at this point. It's not going to happen. There's too many people in Russia. And I'm going to show you something that will demonstrate this. I would like to show you this chart. So take a look at this chart right here real quick. And it's just a colorful little map of the world. Okay? So this is obviously Asia, Europe, Africa. You see this gigantic blue mass right here that says Russia. So this is Russia. You see this tiny pink dot over here? This is Ukraine, okay? Now, yes, this upper part of Russia, mostly ice. No one lives here. It is still a gigantic country with a gigantic population. This is Ukraine. Not very big, not many people. There's no way for Ukraine to win this war. Okay, look at this. Look at this on the map, and then explain to me what you think it looks like when they win. Where do the people come from? How do they win? There are, 100 more million people who live in Russia than Ukraine? Is that somewhere around there? Is there like 150 million people who live in Russia and like 50 million in Ukraine? Where are they going to get the men to fight this war? Look at this, by the way. Here we go. Check out this chart. So this is a little timeline here. This is from the BBC. A timeline of Russian aggression against Ukraine. So in 2014, remember, when Barack Obama was president, Vladimir Putin basically moved east from Russia through the Black Sea and took Crimea, this small section on the bottom of Ukraine. And then they kind of fought a little bit here, and then there was a full-scale invasion. So this is Ukraine. Remember, this is the pink right here. So you can see from the chart, they launched it all on the top, all along the bottom from Crimea. So basically, this entire front right here, and then all the way down this side, Russia launched an invasion against Ukraine. And they fought, and now today, basically this bottom section is entirely in Russia's control. So if we're looking at the world map, by the way, this little blue bit right here is considered Russian territory now. They conquered that in 2014. So this is now just Russian territory. It used to be Ukraine. It was Crimea, and now this is Russian. So this entire bottom section here that we're looking at, this little circle, this is where the fighting is. And this is almost exclusively controlled by Russia. So, as you can see here. So you see this? And right there. Okay, so that's what we're looking at today on the ground in Ukraine. When we're talking about an end to this war, it is probably going to end with concessions from Ukraine that part of that region is going to become Russian territory. I don't know how they're going to divide the lines. I don't know exactly what parts. I don't know 100% of what's what. But that is where we're going to end this war. Ukraine is not going to gain that territory back, not without substantial reinforcements of men. It's not just bombs. It's not just tanks. They need people. And they don't have the people to compete with Russia. So unless Europe wants to send men there to recapture territory, it's not going to happen. So when we're talking about an end of the war, we're talking about concessions. Now, from Vladimir Putin's standpoint, he could just hold. He doesn't have to make an end to it. It is, right now, they kind of are at a stalemate. Not really, but they kind of are. Unless there was some big offensive mounted again, they're kind of just going to maintain. He could just hold it. He doesn't really need a peace agreement. But 7,000 Ukrainians a week are dying. And that's a lot of people. And again, in a country of 50 million people, 7,000 a week kind of adds up when it comes to fighting age people who are in the military who are fighting on the front lines. That is a lot of people a week. So if Vladimir Putin just holds what he has, he could do it. We want the war to end. That's what we want. We want the war to end. Donald Trump, there was a small quote-unquote controversy because he said that he thinks that, and I thought actually the statement was great. He said that he thinks ending a war, saving 7,000 people a week would get him closer to being able to go to heaven, because he said, I'm on the bottom of the totem pole right now. I need all the help I can get. If I can save 7,000 people a week, then maybe it'll help me get to heaven. And people were actually upset about this for some reason. It's silly, but it is true. 7,000 people a week are dying in that war. Actually, I don't know if it's just Ukrainians or Russians and Ukrainians, but 7,000 people a week at least are dying in that war. And that is a gigantic number. It's gone on for years now. We need it to stop. And again, I would love for Ukraine to have all its territory and say, hey, Russia, you did a bad thing. Go home. Tuck your tail between your legs. Don't do that again. Wag your finger at him. Don't do that again, Mr. Putin, you bad man. It's not going to happen. That's just not the way that the world works, and I don't see how we get there. But if Donald Trump can negotiate a peace deal, and by the way, he said, he's caught on a hot mic also saying that he thought maybe Vladimir Putin was open to a deal. That'd be great. That would be great news for the world in general. Going to war with Russia is a bad idea. And the two most heavily nuclear powers on the planet don't need to be fighting each other in a war over Ukraine. So anyway, I hope that peace can come, and everyone should be rooting for that. Don't root against Donald Trump in this. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm sick of hearing, I have one more thing I want to show you. I'm sick of hearing this from people on the left. Look at this quote, this tweet from Nancy Pelosi. It says, quote, "It's curious to see the similarities between the people close with Donald Trump. On one hand, we have Vladimir Putin, who has ordered the kidnapping of tens of thousands of Ukrainian children and uses the rape of women as weapon of war. This conduct is eerily similar to the moral depravity of Trump's other friend, Jeffrey Epstein. With his close relationships to both men, it's no surprise that Trump won't release the Epstein files and wants Ukraine to cede land to Putin." I'm going to just say this because this whole thing it makes me mad. Nancy Pelosi is a terrible person, just a liar and a cynic of the highest order. That whole thing is just a despicable smear. Donald Trump's close friend, Jeffrey Epstein. All right, let's grow up. Oh, Donald Trump's not releasing the Epstein files. We've gone over this. Donald Trump isn't releasing the Epstein files because he's implicated. No, he's not. No, he's not. Period. End of discussion. He's not. And to say that is just lying. You know it's a lie. You absolutely know it's a lie, and you're just doing it as a smear campaign, a smear by association. Oh, he knew Jeffrey Epstein. Therefore, he's a terrible person. Oh, okay. All right. Whatever. I'm just sick of it. She's a liar. Oh, he's Vladimir Putin's best friend. Hi. Remember when we went over the Robert Mueller Russia investigation? I'll just say it again so we can all be on the same page. The Russian hoax is one of the worst political lies of all time, and it was used as an attempt by the Democrats to smear Donald Trump as a Manchurian candidate for Vladimir Putin. It is not real. It's not true. Robert Mueller found no evidence, zero evidence of collusion, none whatsoever. Read the report. Completely vindicated. And the second thing that they'll say, well, what about obstruction of justice? Donald Trump was accused of obstruction of justice for a crime that doesn't exist. Again, he was obstructing justice because he asked if he was allowed to fire people. He never fired them because he was annoyed that they were investigating him about Russia, which they did investigate and found that there was no collusion. He was annoyed because he was being smeared as a Russian asset and said, this is ridiculous. I'm not. Can I just fire these guys? And they said, no, you're not allowed to. He never, no evidence of Russian collusion whatsoever. And in fact, lots of evidence now that this was deliberately done to smear Donald Trump by both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. So anyway, this is Nancy Pelosi. I'm sick of this Russian narrative. It is so dumb, and it's dumb or cynical because either Nancy Pelosi is a moron who hasn't read the news for 8 years, or, which she's not, or she is just lying to make Donald Trump look bad, which is also a despicable tactic to do. So anyway, it's a bad. I'm just sick of it because Donald Trump is trying to negotiate peace and makes him Putin's best friend. Okay, grow up. Let's be real. Donald Trump is not Putin's best friend, and I'm sick of hearing the talking points that make no sense. And anyone who says that just immediately just dismissed out of hand. Oh, all right, Donald Trump. Well, you know he's Vladimir Putin's best friend. Okay, you're not a serious person. I don't need to talk to you. I don't need to listen to you because you have nothing of value to say, if that's still the talking point that you're going with. Anyway, we're going to move on there because I want to talk on this last one for just a couple minutes because I thought it was very interesting. So topic 3, Matt Nuclear. Now, for those of you who don't watch these shows, and recently they've kind of been pissing me off. They seem more rage baiting than actually interested in debate. So I haven't watched the last couple of them because they just kind of annoyed me. Like they had Mehdi Hassan on here and it just was annoying me. But there's a show on YouTube called Jubilee, or a channel called Jubilee, that does a bunch of different shows. One of the things they do is a surrounded show where they invite somebody on who's a person on somewhere on the political spectrum. They'll invite people on the left, people on the right, but they'll say one Democrat versus 20 Trump supporters, and they all sit in a circle around them, and they have a topic. So let's just use an example. So they'll say something like, Donald Trump is racist, and then everyone from the circle will run and try and get in the chair, and then they debate them. So that's kind of the show. You have 20 Trump supporters, you got to go debate this person, or they'll have people like Ben Shapiro on there. It'll be Ben Shapiro versus 20 liberals, and some of them are interesting. Some of them are interesting because some people are interested in cool, interesting, spirited debate. Some people are there trolling. Some people are just annoying. So it kind of just, it's a spectrum. Sometimes it's really nice. Sometimes it's just annoying. Like they had Mehdi Hassan on there, and he's an idiot, and he just lies, and it drives me nuts. So like I'm not going to watch that one because it's just, it bugs me. But, they have Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles. They have these guys on there. They had Jordan Peterson on. Jordan Peterson didn't do very well, unfortunately, but that's kind of the way it is. So they had this episode on where I don't actually know what they titled it, but basically it's this black lady who is going against 20 black conservatives. So she's a leftist, and she's going against 20 black conservatives. There was a man on there named Matt Nuclear, and I want to play the clip, and it's kind of a long clip. So I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to play it and let it play out. But I want you to listen to this because we're going to talk about it afterwards. But listen to this clip.
You can give everyone here like a $50,000, especially people that are in the streets who are committing violent crimes consistently, a $50,000 check. It's not going to fix anything. It's not going to increase the median household income in the next 10 years by 10% or 20%. For example, we have the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. We prevented Chinese people from getting citizenship and even entering the country. We discriminated against them and basically put them under apartheid, even here in the United States. Yet they have the highest median household income. How is that possible? How come they don't complain and feel entitled consistently to beg for reparations and beg for this when they are killing each other 90% of the time, which is the rate that black people kill each other, according to the FBI?
Oh, young Matt.
Yet white people are the oppressors.
I'm not sure where your education came from, but they lied to you.
Stats don't lie, though.
Statistics lie all the time. So let's start there, particularly when the statistics are coming from the sources that gain from the statistics being shown a different way. So if you're going to start your argument on stats don't lie, you've already lost the argument. They lie all the time. One, comparing Chinese people who are immigrants that made a choice to come to the United States and comparing the continued effort of black people to ground themselves in a nation that continues to make impediments for them to show and live and exist in their true citizenship is a false equivalency.
I don't believe that happens at all. What? No one here is in.
Are you acting right now? Do you really believe this?
I'm telling the truth. There's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist? I think the only I
want to just pause this just for one brief second. This face is the face that you make when you have no arguments. This smug, condescending look that just says, "Oh," it's saying, "Oh, honey." This is the look of people who have nothing of value to say. Look at it.
What system is racist? I think the only racism we've actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen, is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University of Western Washington, for example, has been trying to segregate dormitories, using black-only dormitories because black people feel safer amongst each other. But they're more likely to kill each other than white people are ever to kill them. That's just the truth. You have King Von rapping about killing other black men. Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor when black men are more likely to kill me?
Oh my God, this is scary. You need to think about me as your mama. Do not talk to me in that fashion. So let's check that now. Okay. So on a basic level, we have to understand that systemic racism is grounded in the realities that black people have not been considered an equal human being in this country since its onset. So there's simply no way to make the argument that there isn't systemic racism, and we have seen in very clear ways the system operate in an organically racist way. Do not cut me off.
Okay.
You can give everyone here
So right there, I don't know how old Matt Nuclear is. What an excellent job that he did articulating his point, which is basically he's arguing against systemic racism in this clip, the idea that it exists. And he's using a bunch of examples. He said, well, white people aren't that likely to kill me. Black people are more likely to kill me than white people. And I haven't seen any examples of systemic racism because systemic racism to me would be a job or a law or a person or a policy that prevents me from getting a job or an education or something along these lines. He said, I haven't experienced any of that. And this lady has nothing to say in defense of herself. And she does have one point, and I'll defend her on one point, which is that statistics can lie. You absolutely can lie with numbers, but you can't dismiss statistics out of hand. You can't do that. You can't just say, oh, you have a stat. Well, I don't care. Stats lie. Okay, that's true. But if I have a figure or a stat and I bring it up and you just dismiss it out of hand because stats can lie. That's a bad argument. That's not true. When you say all the time, that's ridiculous. It's not all the time. Some facts and some figures don't lie. Sometimes you can look at a stat or a statistic and you can misrepresent what it means, or you can misunderstand what it means, or you can characterize it in the wrong way, but it doesn't make the stat a lie. You can have a different interpretation of what the data is telling you. That doesn't make it a lie. And so this is ridiculous. Her point is that, they just lie all the time. When he's saying something like 90% black people who are murdered are killed by other black people. Okay, yeah, that's probably true. I don't know exactly. They did a fact check. I don't know exactly where that number's from, but I would believe that. Because most violent crime is actually intraracial, meaning that it happens in the same group as opposed to interracial, which means that it happens in between different groups. Did I get that backwards? No, I think that's right. So for example, if I'm white, I'm actually most likely to be killed by someone else who's white. If I'm black, I'm most likely to be killed by someone else who's black. This is true in every case except for Asians. Asians, unfortunately, are more likely to be killed by people who are black than by other Asians because Asians just don't commit homicide. So anyway, but it's like that with most crime. Most crime statistics, it's actually intra-racial as opposed to interracial. So anyway, my point is that he makes an excellent job of pointing this out, and she has nothing to say. She doesn't know how to argue, because what people will do, and this is actually important to know. So let me give you some debate tips here. You cannot debate someone who speaks in vague nonsense. You cannot debate somebody who will not commit to an argument. So if I'm on one side, if I'm on her side of the debate, and she says systemic racism is bad because slavery is bad, because Jim Crow was bad, because those things exist, systemic racism obviously exists, I end my case. That's a bad argument, because I'm not pointing to anything concrete and saying this is the thing that I'm pointing at. Again, I've always said this when I'm talking to someone who wants to talk about things like white privilege or systemic racism, which is show me the law, show me the policy, show me the person. And if you can show me these things, then I will be on your side. I detest racism. Show me where it is. Point to it. You can't just say, you can't wave your hands. Imagine my bookcase here in the back, and I just say, systemic racism. All of this, see all these books that make up society, all of these books are racist. And I say, well, can you show me the book? Can you show me the thing that is racist? And they say, with all of it. Just obviously everything. And I go, I can't really help you. Okay. If your whole argument is that everything is racist, then nothing is racist. Show me where the racism lives. And she can't do it because it doesn't exist in the way that she's characterizing America. And Matt Nuclear points this out. He says, I haven't experienced it. Where is it? Why are you saying this? What are you doing? And he does a great job. And you can see, so what will happen is they speak vague. People you're debating, they speak vague. Make them be specific. And if they can't be specific because it doesn't exist, then they'll go into this other mode of arguing, which is also just displays nothing, which she'll dismiss it. Where were you educated? Who's educating you? You don't know nothing. You don't know nothing. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go, this poor child. You treat me like your mama. Be condescending. That's my next debate tip. Just be condescending. Apparently you can't lose if you just act like the other person's dumb. Oh, you poor child. You don't know anything. Okay, again, not an argument. Well, who was educating you? You've been lied to. Not an argument. Show me where I'm wrong. And he does a great job. He speaks calmly. He stays centered. He is on the point. He has numbers. He has an argument. He is coherent. Matt Nuclear, I don't know how old this man is. If he said he was my age, I'd be like, oh, damn, I'm a little surprised. He looks young. Again, I don't know that for a fact, but he looked young. He's doing a great job. And I think we should all give him a follow on social media, because this is the kind of performance that you can tell from someone who is going places. And I would be very interested to see what he does next. But anyway, give him a follow. But this is the kind of stuff that we need to see more of. We need to see on the conservative side, on the Republican side, we need to embrace people of different ethnicities who understand the arguments and kind of want to come to the conservative side. Because for a long time, and I'll use myself as an example. most young people, they're fed these straw men about conservatives. Oh, they don't like immigration because they're xenophobic, or they don't like Mexicans, or they're racist. They don't like civil rights legislation, or they want voter ID because they're racist. They don't like black people. They don't want this. And you're fed these ideas that conservatives just don't like people who aren't rich white men. It's nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. But you kind of believe this when you're young, and eventually when it crumbles, you have to say, listen, the conservatives, I don't like policies like Marxist policies or socialist policies or policies like welfare. I don't like these things because I actually think they're detrimental to the black community. I don't want to see welfare in the black community because I think it actually is bad for black people. It's not motivated by animus towards black people. It's not. It's just, but you think that. You say, oh, well, you want to take away welfare because you don't like poor people, or you don't like minorities in the ghetto. You don't want to help them. No, actually, I want to help them. I think this is doing a disservice to them, and I think that they are actually more likely to end up staying in the same socioeconomic class when they are given these things. And you can point that out. Since the 1960s, the poverty rate in the black community has not closed at the same rate it did prior to the civil rights legislation and prior to these redistributive policies. It's closed slower and much less effectively than before you had it. And I say, look at that. We have 60 years of data that show this hasn't helped the way we said it was going to help. Affirmative action didn't help the way we said it was going to help. And when you point to these, you can say, oh, do you understand? My argument is actually that this hurts black people and it's bad, and the liberal policies that claim to help them are doing them a disservice. But they don't know this. People don't know this. When I was young, I didn't know this. I just thought you're motivated by racial animus or xenophobia. And so when people understand this, when we can embrace people and get them to understand the conservative viewpoint that really all of our policies are designed for the betterment of everybody, then it'd be a good thing. And I think guys like Matt Nuclear, they need a round of applause for just being unafraid to be themselves and stand up for what they think is right, because there's a lot of pressure in the black community to not be conservative. And I think it's a good thing that you can get someone who just sees something, knows it's right, and defends it. So anyway, props to him. Everyone, go give him a follow if you want, because I think, like I said, I think he's going places. Anyway, we're going to leave it there for the week. As always, questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below, and I will catch you guys next Friday.